How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing great. I'm tired
Good.
right now. I'm at a show. I've been on my feet 14 hours a day, but it was well worth it.
I'm glad for you, man. I know you're tired, but it's going to pay off in the end. I've been, and Rick also. We've been spending our whole weekend going through stuff about you and what you've done on the internet, and it just blows me away that we're not hearing this on Ted Koppel or something. You know, I mean, it's crazy, man. So, yeah, does this? And I want to get into it right away. First, I want you to give us some of your background, how you got into this, your whole background. Tell us about you, the man, and the inventor. I know you've been inventing things 30 years or so.
I've invented all my life. If I don't like the way something is done, and I think it can be done better or faster, I just do it. And when people tell me you can't do it, I ignore them and I just keep trying until I get it done. I invented a 25 caliber log splitter. I've invented instant paint. Pick the field, I have inventions in it. But on this, I built 350 failures. But really, it's 350 ways not to build it. Right. we gave the plans away on the internet last week, and for small engines and large engines, if you want to build one for your car, your truck, your tractor, whatever, go on the website. You can have it for free. We were selling the plans for $250. Now we're just saying, here, we want to get this out before the government puts another glitch in the cog.
Right, and like I say, I've been looking at your stuff all day, or stuff about you, and you're a hero, man. You're out there doing what a lot of people need to do. You know, there's been a lot of people. Victor Schongberger years ago with his water power. Is this technology based on anything that he did, or is it completely different? And can you just explain to us how the system works?
It's different, but along the same lines. We've not only had him, we've had hundreds of inventors who've come up with the great efficient carburetors like Pogue and Fish and Ogle. One after another, they've disappeared or they died. Well, here it is. I'm alive. The plans are out for free. Build one. It works. Wow,
that's just crazy. And so how are you know, you've got to get some income for all this you've been in, you know, that's happened to you and whatnot over this thing. What are you going to do to get income if you're giving the plans away?
Well, if you go to my site, which is geet.nl, there's a button there that says PayPal for donations. If all you can afford is $5 or $10, make a donation. If you can't afford it, just download the plans. You can always go back later after you built the thing.
You got that right. Tell everybody what happened. I mean, tell your whole story. Start from the first about what happened with your concern with the government or with the special interest groups, shall I say.
Well, there were a lot of people that wanted to have the technology, but they didn't want it out to the public, and they offered large sums of money to bury it and hide it, and I said no. My employees got mad. They did everything they could to try to steal it. They couldn't. So they went to the Attorney General and said, hey, my boss is a crook. If you'll arrest him and give me the patent, I can make it work. And they finally said, well, the guy's not giving up his patent, and obviously it must work if all these people say it works, including you. So we have no way to hold him. Unless, wait a minute, you know what? There's a law in Utah that says if you don't get along with your attorney, you're not mentally competent. So we can arrest him, put him in a nut house, and say he's not competent. So I was declared incompetent.
Wow. And that just goes to show you. And when did that happen?
That happened in 2005.
And you stayed in until?
May 15th of this year. I walked out with no teeth, on crutches, with a broken ankle and a messed up right foot. They did a bad surgery. It needs to be fixed. So right now,
oh my God,
I need a little medical attention, but you know what? That's not important. Let's get this out to mankind.
Well, you're doing the right thing, because from everything I've read, this is really something that's explain. Why don't you explain in layman's terms just exactly what we're talking about here?
Well, I found a way of vaporizing fuel. So by the time it goes through the vaporizer and a special tube that you build into the exhaust pipe, it can be built for about $20 with parts from a hardware store. Then you deliver that new vapor, which is a dry vapor, up to the engine intake, deliver it into the engine, and now you have a fuel that's 95% cleaner than a regular fuel and gives you double to triple the mileage. That's all.
Wow, yeah, that's all, but it's quite a you know, from what I've seen on the internet, it's quite an invention. I'll tell you the truth. Have you got this patented?
Oh yes, it is patented, and I'm going for a modification to the patent here within the next month or two.
Okay, so now you're giving the plans away, but you'll also build them for people. Is that right?
I only am giving the plans away to people that are individuals that want to build it for their own use. I'm not letting GM, Ford, Chrysler, or Obama have them. That's commercial use. I'm not allowing any of that.
Oh, good. That's great. Yeah, that's you're a patron, buddy. Let's see.
Ma'am.
I hear, you know, I was reading or I saw on the internet somewhere that you were getting like a Ford Pinto 88 miles per gallon and a GEO 120 miles per gallon. Is this legal to put this on a car? And can I, you know, is it real expensive, or what's the whole story about the whole conversion there?
No. We've been teaching people for years how to do it. People in America that do have it running are not talking about it, or they're just saying, well, it didn't work for me. They're just holding back. But if you look at the European sites, where there are hundreds and hundreds of people coming forward now saying, yeah, I got it on my Fiat, I got it on my Subaru, I got it on this, I got it on that. It all works. There's no question about it. It's, okay, this guy didn't get double the mileage. Gee, he only got a 50% improvement. And in the city of Batay, where they put it on diesel engines, they're only getting an 82% reduction in pollution. Well,
the poor guys.
It works perfect on everything. Oh, wait a minute.
Wow.
Those people didn't come to school to learn how to do it. They're doing it off their free plans.
So you've got a school where you teach people.
I have 4 more weeks that I'm teaching it. That's it in the United States. I'm shutting my doors. We have August, September, October, November, 1 week each month, $1,500. You come in, you spend a week, you learn how to put it on everything you want to put it on for the rest of your life. If it uses fuel, we teach it. But after that 4 weeks, it'll all be videotaped. I won't need to do another class. It can all be put up on the Internet. So there's only 4 more weeks in the U.S. Then our schools open in Australia and Europe.
And how can they get in touch with you about that?
They go to my, just email me at paul@geet.nl, Nancy Leo. And the NL stands for Netherlands, which is where our first big school's opening.
Are you originally from the Netherlands, or are you moving over there?
No.
What's the story with that?
I was 110% American until I got beat up enough by these people that I just want to close my doors in America, go to a foreign country and manufacture it and distribute it, and let it come back to America when it can. But there are hundreds of people that have been murdered by this great government and the people in it that don't want technology out there.
Oh yeah, yes sir. That's why I say I'm really proud to be able to talk to you, because you're one of those few, you know, that made it through the system to this point anyway. And I'm hoping that by putting you on the air with a lot of shows and all of this type of stuff to get your story out there, so enough people are watching you that they can't mess with you anymore, and you can get done what you need to get done.
Well, earlier today I was on CBS News here in Albuquerque at 5:30, and then at 9 o'clock I was on Fox News here in Albuquerque. And people get to see me now that knew me 5 years ago with all my teeth, and they're seeing me now with no teeth in my head. Well, I had my teeth until they drilled them out and said, you can't get fillings unless you sign your patent over. Great.
Oh, man. That's unbelievable. Rick, did you want to come in for a minute? I know I haven't been right. I know you're real anxious to talk to Paul.
Well, I think we have another hour and 48 minutes. I'll get my questions in if you have something you want to get to right now.
No, I just thought while we're on this subject of the government thing, you might want to say something or
Well,
talk.
actually, yeah, let me bring up one thing that I found in the chat room. Kathy from Virginia says she has a sister, or she heard from her sister, and many people in New Zealand are using these engines, using the homemade, making them from the plant. And they seem to be working well over there.
We have people right now in Albuquerque getting ready to leave here in the next 2 weeks. They're going to be going back to start opening up shops in Indonesia, New Zealand, Australia. We're opening up all over the world. We're not trying to open up in America. We don't want to fight the battle against this government. Let's go elsewhere. Let's go where the people want to have zero pollution and better mileage.
Exactly. We know about the oil companies, but they're worldwide. So what is it in the United States that's keeping it back? Is it the idiocy of the populace, or what is it?
No, it is the, we've allowed GM, Ford, Chrysler, Caterpillar, Cummins, and all these big companies that do things to threaten their dealers and say, hey, don't sell this guy parts. Hey, don't honor your warranties. Tell this man that he can't put it on our equipment. We're not going to let him. We don't want this technology.
So in other words, they're afraid of it.
Yeah.
Boy. So what can our listeners do? What can we do as people about this horrible thing? I mean, you've obviously got not probably the answer, but at least part of the answer to our problems, and the higher ups won't even listen to you. What can everybody do?
Well, they can go to the website, geet.nl, or if they're in Albuquerque area and they want to come down here tomorrow, this is my last presentation. I'll be doing a workshop where we're going to take an engine apart in front of the audience and let a couple of people from the audience come up and put it back together. And we're going to show you that a 10th grader, 8th grader can put it together and make it run in a matter of minutes. It's that simple. If you can't get down here and you want to get the plans, get it off the internet. If you want to ask questions, the free plans aren't the way to go. You want to buy a set of plans from teslatech.info and tell them you want just one license to put it on one engine, and then they'll help you through the information you need to dial it in so that you can get the results you need.
Wow, and man, you're just blowing me away with this information. My mind's going crazy. It's crazy that I've thought I was on top of everything, but this has been around for a while, and I wasn't even aware of it until I heard you on another show. What's some of the other uses for this same technology? I know I heard you talking about some medical uses.
Furnaces, boilers, anything that uses fuel on the planet can be increased by double to triple and have 95 to 99% less pollution. Anything.
Oh, that's unbelievable. We're talking for those of you that have just joined us. We're talking with Paul Pantone. He's the inventor of the global environmental energy technology system that would cut our energy uses in half. It seems like in every machine that uses any kind of fuel. And there's plenty of proof of this. If you go put his name, Paul Pantone, that's Paul Pantone. Google his name. You'll find tons of testimonials and some of his speeches and talks and whatever. It's all there, Paul. It's a lot of information out there about you, buddy.
Excuse me. Yesterday I gave about an hour and 45-minute presentation here at the conference, and if you get a hold of them at teslatech.info, I have been told by at least a third or more of the audience, they came up, gave me hugs, kisses, wanted pictures, autographs. They said it was the best speech or presentation they have ever heard in their life. They said it was that dynamic Yet at the same time, I was standing up there on a broken left foot, without their knowing it, a fractured right foot, and I am standing up there smiling as I give this presentation with no teeth, and they all said it was a great presentation. And I really felt it was not one of my best, but I put my heart into it because of what I was overcoming to get it done. But now it looks like they want a bigger presentation tomorrow.
Great. I saw your presentation. There's several parts of it on YouTube, and it was really great. Kathy in the chat room asks, do you have to do a lot of altering or converting to make it work on a car?
No. An older car does not take any major work at all. It's about an 8-inch piece of exhaust pipe that needs to be modified, and the carburetor itself has to have a plate put under it to allow the new fuel to go in. The newer cars, it's almost impossible, unless you're an electronics genius, to figure out how to bypass all of it. Because if you really look at it, you don't need the smog pump, you don't need the radiator, you don't need any of the garbage in front of the engine. You just need a basic engine.
Huh.
And it's not
just a little four-cylinder.
If you have a generator system for your home or your camper or whatever, if you want to generate electricity using a gasoline, quote-unquote, gasoline internal combustion engine, you can convert it very cheaply, about $20 from what I'm
You can buy, yeah, the parts are about $20, $25, and you can do it yourself.
Yeah. And, okay, I'll just launch into my questions here. I've looked at the plans, I've looked at the diagrams on Tesla Tech, and I'll be going to your site after this show. I'll probably be up all night. But anyway, I have many questions with regard to not so much how it works, but we can get into that in a minute. Where I want to go is, has anybody done anything with a dynamometer and other equipment to measure things like power curve, acceleration rates, things like that?
We have a dyno test that was done in Salt Lake that all I could do was laugh. The guy did the test. He hooked us up to the dyno. Now, keep in mind, this is a Ford 454, one of the big ones. The guy just towed in about 6,500 pounds of water behind his truck. We had to disconnect the water tank because he has a service that requires a lot of water. He pulled in. They hooked it up to the dyno, hooked up every bit of the equipment, and said it was putting out 10 horsepower based on their computer. Well, my question is, can 10 horsepower travel down the freeway at 85 miles an hour pulling that much weight? He said, no, it can't. I said, then why did he drive in here pulling that, and he's going to leave here pulling that? Can you explain it? He said, no, it's physically impossible. It can't be done.
Well, not with 10 horsepower, but I guess my question would be, if the dynamometer was set up right for this type of output, if it was set up directly to the drive shaft or something, then that would be one thing. But if he's checking it in some other way, who knows?
Electronically, to the exhaust pipe, to the emissions, it was putting out 21% oxygen. Therefore, it was not running.
Right. It was putting out more oxygen than it was taking in.
Correct.
Wow.
Because the atmosphere is only about 8%.
No, it's about 20 there.
Okay.
19.8, I think.
But it was still putting out more oxygen than it was taking in. Interesting. So he didn't have anything to measure the actual output, the mechanical output.
No.
Okay.
But the computer on most new cars, when it reads too much oxygen, says, do not work. You're shut down. Your transmission won't engage. The lights won't work.
Okay.
Everything shuts down saying that there's something wrong.
I have a friend who runs a dyno, and he hooks it up to the drive shaft or the output shaft of the engine directly. And then he uses that to run a water pump and actually measures the resistance and the amount of water moved. So it's a real, honest-to-goodness horsepower dyno output.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've done this before with doctors and scientists from all over the world, and they've all said, It works, but it shouldn't.
Yeah.
But at this particular shop, it was one of the state-of-the-art race car dynos, and the guy said, you can't run the engine. There isn't enough power to move that truck out of this shop. The man backed up, hooked up to his water, and drove off.
Yeah. Well, I live in the vicinity of Cummins diesel plant. I shouldn't say immediate vicinity. I live in the same state. It's 4 counties away. But their dynos actually run the city water system. So they're very prone to real output power. So that's how most of us around here were taught that you do a dyno, is you move water or you move something and measure how much you move and how much pressure you have, et cetera.
I would agree.
So getting back to the how it works part, and as I was telling you just before the show, I got onto the Tesla Tech site and saw their diagram. It was the first one I'd seen. And I was immediately struck that this is a magnetohydrodynamic effect, but running in the inverse. Would you like to go into that and tell us what it does?
Well, we are creating, when the engine runs, 7 different electromagnetic fields simultaneously. So as it's running, all of these different frequencies that are occurring, creating all these different fields, are creating AC, DC, Gauss field. It's pulling electrons from 60 feet away. All of these things are replicas of planet Earth. And the center rod that we talked about, the reactor rod, replicates a human body. When you pull it out, it has an aura around it. It's about an inch, inch and a half wide on each side. Beautiful blue cobalt.
Wow.
It has an energy field.
Okay, that's fascinating.
Well, so far I'm up to 175 discoveries that we've made based on GEET.
Okay.
Wow.
So
that's unreal.
I was looking at this diagram, as I mentioned, in Tesla Tech, and I noticed that you have some components in there that are all available in parts stores or hardware stores or some combination of the two.
Well, if you want to buy pieces and parts of pipes and put them together, you can. In the next 45 days on our site in Europe, you'll be able to actually download and say, I want to buy that part pre-manufactured, ship it to me, and we're going to be able to start shipping components worldwide.
So my question, I guess, talking about the parts and stuff, have you found other people, some of your acolytes or however you want to say it, who have done further experimentation? You know, like what do you
right now, I've got about, I would have to guess, probably 100,000 people worldwide that have built the units and sent me back information on what they've discovered and how it ties back to what we've already discovered. So it's giving us more and more discoveries. Because we just offered these plans for the big engines this last week, we've already had 1.7 or 1.8 million hits. So the numbers of discoveries are going to grow now. Phenomenal.
Okay. Well, I can guess what some people are going to try. They're going to try different types of magnetized materials or combinations or alloys for the center rod. They're going to try to replace the copper washer with copper beryllium and different alloys. And at some point, it's going to hit that 100 or plus % efficiency.
Oh, we've already passed that, but we're not showing that publicly.
Okay. So that's where I was going with it. I do believe it's possible to get more energy out of those tools than what conventional science says is available in them.
That was done years ago. We had a laboratory call us up one day. They had already tested a Coleman furnace that they had UL approved, and they said it was 94.6 or 96.4% efficient. The problem they had was they got a 300% efficiency increase when they put a GEET on it.
There you go.
The biggest problem was How do we explain getting 300% more BTUs out of a cubic foot of natural gas than there is in it to begin with?
Yep. Well, it activates it somehow. It activates the hydrogen or the hydrocarbons or however, whatever.
The plasma field that we create, which is self-created, magnifies energy.
Third state of matter.
It's the fourth state of matter, yes.
Okay, so we have basically an amount of, I'll say, fuel going into this thing, and you have more oxygen coming out than what is drawn in through a conventional carbon, what is available in the intake atmosphere.
Correct, and 4 times more horsepower or 3 times more horsepower than has ever been detected before.
Okay, so then I guess my question there is, the output, the exhaust, will consist of oxygen, and it will consist probably of very little carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, I'm guessing.
We have had tests where the carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide is 0.
I can believe that.
The hydrocarbon is 0.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big thing. That's a huge thing. So if you are taking in, I saw one YouTube where a guy poured Pepsi in the fuel tank and ran the engine off Pepsi or Mountain Dew or any sugary water type stuff.
I was just going to say today for Fox News it was Mountain Dew.
Okay. And so you've got a whole bunch of carbon in the form of sugar in that and some carbonated water. So you have carbon dioxide in it. I would be very interested, you had carbon dioxide as the fuel. I'd be very interested in seeing the exhaust components from that run, because if it converts that carbon dioxide to oxygen and water coming out, why wouldn't that be on every internal combustion engine on this planet?
If you can get past that politics, I'd love to hear how. But in the meantime, if you have anyone, because I lost everything I owned was lost while I was imprisoned falsely, and I need all that equipment again. So if anybody out there has got extra analyzers or anything that'll help, get them to me. I need them right now. We'll put it on YouTube. We'll show every one of the tests we do.
That would be wonderful, because there are a million questions I have along that line, just that line.
Give your email again, will you?
It's paul@geet.nl.
That's GEET. Yeah,
right.
I'm sorry, Rick. I just want him to give that often, because we want our listeners to help him any way they can.
Yeah, I agree. So I have plans. I have 3 different electrical generators, gasoline-powered electrical generators around here, and one of them is adequate to run the house if I'm not running everything at once. So I'm probably over the next couple of weeks going to be figuring out how to modify it.
Well, your best bet would be to see if you can sneak into one of them spots I have left for teaching, because if you came to the school and learned how to do it, you'd be modifying everything you own, because once you know how to use the system, you don't need the fuel like you ever needed before. We actually showed in one of our private classrooms, which we are going to show, one aluminum can has more energy in it, if you know how to use it, than 3.5 gallons to 5.5 gallons of gasoline.
Okay. Well, I'm burning about over 100 gallons of gasoline per year just mowing here, just mowing the grass. So I have a lot of grass. But when you go figuring up at $2 and something a gallon, and probably be $4 a gallon next summer, I'm going to try to avoid that. Cost avoidance is a big thing with me. I must be Scottish by nature.
With lawnmowers, we've had people get as much as 30 times more energy per gallon than the conventional system when they convert.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Well, no, you do a closed-loop system where there's no exhaust. The exhaust gets rerouted back into the intake. Then you're really getting some efficiencies.
So you can route all of it back into the intake. Well, sure, if you got mostly oxygen coming out of it, or that high oxygen coming out of it.
You know, there's one question I need to invoke here. It came from Kathy, or just a quote she made. But what about legal? What's the legal? I mean, like in some states, they're really rough on air pollution, and you got to have all the catalytic converters and all that stuff hooked up right. What's the story on that?
Well, if politicians weren't getting royalties from catalytic converters, we'd probably be a better off planet. But there's too many people making money off the catalytic converters. And they are not working the way they're supposed to. They're actually polluting the air more than the pollution itself.
Been proven, right? So, but I mean, what's the legal ramifications? You put this on your car, and then you got to go get an inspection at the end of the year.
Well, when I took my Suburban in, my '84 Suburban in to get it smogged, it failed. We did not have enough pollution, and in Utah, the law said we had to have between 120 and 240 parts per million hydrocarbon, and we didn't have any. So we failed the test. We were supposed to have approximately 8% oxygen coming out the tailpipe. We had 22% oxygen coming out the tailpipe. So we were too clean and couldn't pass. So they had to give us a waiver. An emissions waiver means you pollute too much. You
weren't polluting enough in reality.
You got it.
Kind of like driving too slow. I'm sorry, Rick. It fit right in that spot. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I'm back on the mower and small engine thing, because a lot of people think the only thing we use hydrocarbon fuels for is cars and trucks and trains and boats and airplanes and stuff. But there's probably nearly as much of that fuel, that petroleum product, going through small engines as there is through road engines or transportation engines. And if we could convert just those engines, we would cut the pollution in half.
Well, I got an email about a month ago from a guy who says there are 14 of the world's biggest engines on ships that haul all these containers. And those 14 container haulers pollute more than all the cars on the entire planet. And we could reduce the pollution on those 14, just those 14 ships, to 95% less pollution, then nobody'd notice the rest of the pollution we have on the planet.
Well, I have a suggestion, and I know you're not going to like this idea, but the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Coast Guard use great big giant diesels to move their platforms, and they're always looking for fuel economy measures. Have you gone that route at all?
Because of the resistance in 30 years from my own government to even defend me, I don't think I want to sell anything to any military application in the world.
Okay. It was just a point of curiosity. I spent 15 years.
No, if somebody else would like to set up a company and come to me and make a proposal and say they'd like to do it, fine. But I don't want to deal with it.
Okay. Understood and appreciated.
Yeah, really.
I'm sorry, I was tortured for 3.5 years by this government for something I didn't even do.
Yep.
No, I don't want to work in this country anymore. I want to help the people in this country, but not the government.
Okay, next question.
I could understand that.
Has anybody tried to figure out how to hook this up to turbine engines?
Yes, we've received emails from Europe and China that it works great on turbines, and we have asked them to stop all communication until I have a new address out of the U.S.
Okay, fair enough. Because that's another big source of raw hydrocarbons getting in the air.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I'll think of about 100 more questions in the next hour and 20 minutes. If you want to jump in there, I know you prepared a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, no problem. I wanted you to walk us through your what happened to you when they railroaded you into the mental hospital. Could you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, I was told I was coming in for a status hearing one day, and I walked in for a status hearing, and my attorney had already cut a deal with the Attorney General and other people and the judge behind my back. And when I walked in, they said, "You're arrested. We're going to hold you at the jail, and you're going to serve 4 months for securities fraud." And I said, "For what?" And they said, "Well, you're guilty of securities fraud, and we're not going to accept any arguments or any motions you have. You're going to serve your time." Before I finished serving the 4 months, they said, "Well, you're mentally incapable of being able to be sentenced." I said, "Wait a minute. I've already been sentenced. I've served my sentence. What are you talking about?" And they put me in a mental hospital. When I got down there, they told me that I couldn't leave the mental hospital until I agreed that the technology didn't work, and I signed the patent rights over to the Attorney General. And I refused to do it. So when I first got there, they went ahead and drilled all my teeth out, all my fillings, and said they were going to replace them with these new state-of-the-art fillings that were better than the metal, which we all know is bad. So I let them drill them out while I'm handcuffed to the chair, and the next thing I know is they're saying, "Now, if you're not going to sign the papers giving us the patent and admitting you're mentally ill, we're not going to release you, ever."
Oh, my God.
All of my teeth rotted in my head. They refused medical attention. They refused to give me painkillers. I'm sorry, this is flat-out torture. I'd rather have been put in Guantanamo.
I totally agree with you, and I'm glad that you have the nerve to tell people exactly what happened to you. There's a lot of people that just go along with the program and, you know, watching the TV and whatever. They don't realize this is going on to people that get into things that the controllers do not want anybody to get into. And so, how did you finally get out of that horror house?
Well, thanks to a lot of people here in the States that were helping me with bombardments of email and stuff to other people, senators and congressmen. Finally, a senator came forward, Senator Chris Butters in Salt Lake. And he said, "We do not torture people in this state." I said, "Bull, I'm here. I watch it every day with all these other patients that are being tortured. What do you mean we're not being tortured?" And when I told him how they drilled my teeth out and they made me walk on a broken foot and they refused to give me medical attention when I needed it, he had an investigation started. At the same time, we hired a new attorney, and the judge said, "I'm not going to let you have an attorney. You're not legally allowed to have an attorney. I'm going to appoint one for you." The whole thing was all constitutional. I said, "You can't do this. We can do anything we want. Sue us." So finally, my son, David, he's only 24 years old. He was over in the Netherlands. He went over there just to fight this battle. And for a year and a half, he kept saying what he was going to do, and he started doing it on YouTube, showing pictures of my broken foot and my teeth all knocked out. And he kept showing this, saying, "Hey, is this the way we treat people that are supposed to be getting treatment?" He was embarrassing them. He embarrassed them so bad. They were almost in tears saying, "Can you please shut him up?" And I kept saying, "Open the door.
Right.
Give me a release." And the only way they could see to release me was to say, "Okay, you're mentally incompetent, and therefore you can't sue us. So now you can leave." Even though the law said they couldn't hold me. They totally ignored state and federal law. They just did what they wanted.
And then when they released you, they just released you with your teeth all messed up and everything, and your legs and whatnot, and then you're supposed to go on your own out here with nothing and get them fixed? Is that what the story is?
Well, they released me out the door. when I got to the door to get into the sheriff's van to go back to the court and stand in front of the judge to be released, they said he's not leaving with the wheelchair. He can walk, crawl, we don't care, but he doesn't get the wheelchair. Now, I've been in a wheelchair for 2 years before that. I can't walk. I need a walker or a wheelchair, but they said, tough, we're not going to give it to him. So some friends showed up with crutches, and I went out of the courthouse on crutches. But the state didn't want to give me anything, not even the time of day. They wouldn't even give me my medicine. They wouldn't give me anything I had in there that I needed for medical purposes. It was, no, you don't get it.
Welcome to the world of the controllers.
Yep.
You know, I hope that you write a book about this.
Well, I'm looking at doing a movie. I've already met with a couple of Hollywood producers.
Oh, that would be great.
What happened to me in that hospital and all the other patients that I witnessed being abused, all of it's going to be in that movie.
That's great, because this stuff needs to stop. You know, I mean, you know, we worry more about our enemies than we do about our citizens. I mean, you know, don't even get me started on this, man.
I'll tell you what, a dog has more rights in Utah than a human being.
In the whole country. In the whole country. An animal has more rights than humans. You know, it's just, I hate to get into it. And I guess you saw a lot of abuse, like you said, in the hospital. Well, what hospital were you in?
The Utah State Hospital, they claimed, but I was in the forensic building, which is actually, according to the law, under the control of the prison system.
The state prison system?
Yeah. And they don't pay the people to be prison guards in a mental ward for maximum security. They're hiring minimum wage employees. And they're not licensed, and they're not insured, they're not bonded, they're not trained right. They just turn these kids loose and say, here, do your job. And some of them aren't kids. I mean, these are some pretty husky guys that are cage wrestlers and boxers and everything else. These guys enjoy being evil.
Oh. And so that's where they had you, with the criminally insane?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
By law,
yeah, I guess you did.
Be a danger to yourself or other people if you're in there. And I kept saying, how am I a danger? And they said, if we let you out, you can sue us.
Yeah, you're danger. Oh, I see. You're a danger to them because you could sue them. Oh, boy. And I hope you've got the law working on this for you somewhere.
So right now, just to file the lawsuits alone, just the paperwork and the filing fees alone, I need $150,000. Just for filing fees. I mean, that's how many people are involved in what happened to me.
Well, that's the way our system is set up. You know, it's set up where the man on the bottom, there's nothing he can do. You know, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm flabbergasted because you know, I've heard of this. I've been involved in watching the government and whatnot for 35 years, and I've heard of this stuff, and I've heard it secondhand a lot of times. But this is really the first time I've heard this stuff firsthand from a guy who hasn't even been out, what, 2 months?
Well, I've been out 9 weeks, but yeah, close.
Yeah. And I guess it was just a hell every day just to get through that. How did you maintain? What did you do to keep yourself from going over the deep end?
Well, I kept thinking of different ways that I could get the technology out to mankind, and I figured if I could walk out that door, the first thing I wanted to do was coordinate a big press release where I could donate the plans to mankind so that those greedy, evil people wouldn't want to come after me to try to steal the patent anymore because it wouldn't mean anything to them.
Good move.
Give it away.
And as Paul says, you guys, anybody that wants it can get the plans, can download them from his site. And you know, if you got a little bit, then you can donate a little bit. If you don't, then you need the plans more than anybody else anyway. But he's got a way to donate there. The guy, he lost everything, and they even drilled his teeth out as sort of punishment. So you guys can help him out. What's that site again, Paul?
It's geet.nl.
Okay. I appreciate it, you guys. Help him out like you can. I heard you talking on another show, and you had mentioned something about using it for maybe not this system, but the whole technology for medical purposes, like X-rays, or how would that work?
Well, I was talking with George Norway on that on Coast to Coast the other night, and I had mentioned that we have made 175 discoveries, which now go into metallurgy. They go into the medical fields to replace X-rays. The frequency, the radio frequency that we emit seems to have a healthy type reaction, and it will make an X-ray. We can't explain how it works or why it works yet. We don't have the equipment to do it. I need mass spectrometers. I need all kinds of equipment to be able to finish the testing. But we did get X-rays from the unit where you could see soft and hard tissue. You can see the bones or just the skin. It would be like a combination of an MRI and a CAT scan, but there's no harmful radiation and there's no danger to the person using it that we know of. We need to get more research in these fields. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. The isolation of the different fields, we can tap off AC and DC at the same time. Now, that means the exhaust pipe on a 1-horsepower engine can actually put out more usable electricity than a 1,000-horsepower engine can, hooked to a generator.
Just from the exhaust pipe?
Yes. It's just we don't know how to tap it all, how to build it. What do we build around it? We don't know. That's one of the reasons I'm here at this last conference, is we have people here building different types of equipment and coils and things.
Right. This is just blowing me away. So if you had the equipment, then you could go further with this. These discoveries, how, for instance, the X-ray, how does that come from a carburetor device, or what am I missing here?
During the time that the fuel and the exhaust are crossing each other in the exhaust pipe, it emits a frequency, a radio frequency, that when you put a piece of X-ray film next to it, it will expose both sides of the film so that you can get hard or soft tissue.
Okay, got you. So in other words, this technology that you created, you found another 175 possible things that could stem from it, but you don't have the money to look into it. Is that right?
Correct. Correct.
Oh man, this country is crazy to let you get away. You know, it's like reverse brain drain or something here. You know,
well,
I'm just very sorry because of that. But, you know, it's a global society, and like you say, you can probably do something faster in a place where people understand you. And like, for instance, when the parts go on the market, the people here will be able to buy them over the Internet, and it'll move right along without you living here.
Correct.
You know, so at least that's my feeling about the whole thing. Now, I want to get back to the legal getting around the smog controls and stuff in these different states. How do you do that? I think I remember you saying somewhere on a talk show, or I've seen so much of your stuff in the last week, but there's something about a letter you had.
Well, I have that letter. It's somewhere in this box right in front of me right this minute. And I don't know which one of the folders it's in. Hold on.
Been there, done that.
Which folder it was? Okay. We had a letter out. We're going to look for it here as we talk. It was from the EPA, and it said that it's a voluntary organization, and they have no legal authority to do anything except report to Congress anything they find. They have no authority to shut your doors. You have the right to modify your car. It was a phenomenal letter. And we had several different agencies. We had sent out 60 pages to the EPA saying, do we really have to go through all of this paperwork. This is insanity. I mean, 800 pages of application. Why? And we started getting back these letters saying, no, you don't. We're a voluntary organization. Just don't volunteer. Whatever you do, stay away from us. Because
but that doesn't deal with the states. But that doesn't deal with the states, does it?
Well, no. In California, we got a hold of Ruth Costa, who's the director of the CARB, and I told her we were coming to town, we were going to demonstrate the technology, and if it's against the law to have zero pollution, come arrest me. And then I told her I had this letter from the EPA, and she told me, she says, not only am I not going to come arrest you, you're never going to meet me or anybody in my office. Why not? She said, well, if you got that letter from them already, you already know that we are voluntary and we're being put into place by the state to dictate what you can and cannot do, but we have no legal authority to do it.
So now this letter, are you going to post it somewhere?
It's already up on my website, my old website,
okay,
which I'm not using anymore, but I believe it's under letters. If you go to geet-pantone.com.
Okay. So, yeah.
Then over on the right side is letters, and I have a copy of the letter now in my hand.
Oh, okay.
But it's up on that website, and there's 2 pages to it. But it says under, let me see if I can find that section. Oh, it's a long section. But it basically starts out at 206, parentheses A, parentheses 2, and it says under this act, they don't have any legal authority except to report to Congress. They're nothing but a bunch of glorified reporters that started carrying cards, and then they started carrying badges, and then they started carrying guns, but Congress never once approved any of it.
That's good to know in its own right. I never knew that. Boy, that's something else. So even
the guy and they actually fine him and say, you can't do that. What you did was illegal. It's a $50,000 fine. Well, according to what I have here, they don't have the authority to do it. But they shut guys down. They take their shops. They do all these horrible things, but they never have the legal authority to do anything.
Got you. So in other words, when I take my car to the state inspector and they say, well, you disconnected this and that, and I say, oh, well.
Well, I don't know. You'd have to have an attorney interpret that letter. So that's why I posted that letter on my website.
Got you.
But so far, every state
you're covering everybody's bases as best you can. I see that.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, we're talking with Paul Pantone. I think we're fixing to take a break here in a couple of minutes, but he's the inventor of the GET, or the Global Environmental Energy Technology. If you want to really get into it, you can go to YouTube or put in his name, Paul Pantone, Pantone, or go to his site. There's so much information about him. It was overload for me today while I was looking through it. But he's really an interesting person. I think he's a true patriot. He's been through some hell lately, and any of you guys out there can give him a hand. Jump in there and do that by hitting that donate button on his site. I mean, we don't usually do that. We don't usually do this type of thing. But Paul is a man that it needs some help now, and buddy, down the road he'll be helping you by selling you parts for your car.
Or showing you how to build them.
Yeah, and you can go get the plans free on his site, and give your site again, Paul. I'm no good at remembering all this stuff.
The site is geet.nl.
Okay, Rick, is there anything before we take a break that you might want to throw in here, or do we need to just head into break? Hello? Is anybody there?
Just me.
Okay. Sorry, had it on mute for a minute. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and set it up for the break, and we'll come back just after the hour, folks. And we'll be taking callers later on in the show if anybody has specific questions that we haven't thought of or you haven't put into the chat room. And that number is 347-884-9281. Feel free to call in and ask Paul a question. I'm sure that there are many that we didn't come up with. We try, but we don't cover all the bases. So, Paul, stick with me, and we'll discuss it when we come back from the break, okay?
You got it.
All righty. Always technology or his ordeal. So feel free to give us a call, and we will take those calls as soon as we can get them into the queue. So, Dennis, you're back.
Yeah, my friend, I'm back. I made that little switch we talked about. Paul, thanks for waiting with us. Really enjoy talking to you. We're talking to Paul Pantone. He's the inventor of the JET, or Global Environmental Energy Technology. This replaces a standard carburetor with a plasma generator and with a small amount of gas and any other liquid you can, even Mountain Dew, they say, you can get to 2-3 times as much mileage out of your car and cut the pollution in half. So we've been talking to him. He's also had a little set in with the controllers and spent some time in the mental home, or whatever you want to call it. I have a different name for it, but it was pretty much hell. So anyway, welcome back, Paul.
I'm here.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, because I know you probably know it, one of my heroes up to you entered the picture was Victor Schauberger with his water power. He used just plain water, am I right, in his inventions there?
On some of them, yes, he did.
I'm sorry?
Yes, he did.
Are you aware of him?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you said yes, he did. Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to know if he had any influence on what you got involved in, or did you just
No, I had mine long before I heard his name. I'm a carpenter. I was building houses, and I wanted to have better mileage. I started working on this. After I had it running, I couldn't tell people why it ran. All I could say is, well, you put the fuel in here, and you pull the rope here, and it runs.
So, in other words, it was just a sort of hit and miss thing. You were trying all different types of things. I know you said you'd already tried 100 and something. And this just happened to work?
It works. But when I went to a patent attorney and said, I want to patent it, he said, well, you got to tell me how it works. And I said, what do you mean, how it works? You put the fuel in here, and you pull the rope, and it runs. No, you have to explain it to us scientifically. We got to patent the process. And it took me from 1983 to 1998 to finally be able to get it through to a patent attorney what we were patenting.
So you basically made up the names of the parts and whatnot yourself, right?
I had to, because they don't exist in the book yet.
Right. So you've been mystifying them all along. I'm still fascinated about how you found this. Didn't you have some idea what you were doing, or were you just how did you come up with this machine?
I built it.
I understand that, but I mean, did you? The way I understand it, there's a small rod inside of a larger rod, and it moves back and forth.
Back then, I called it an accelerator in the tube. I didn't realize we were making plasma. There was no recognition of plasma as a fourth state of matter. It didn't exist in any science book. Nothing I was doing existed in any science book, so I didn't know where to start. I had it built. It worked. I couldn't tell people why it worked other than it worked. So then I had to go back and study each and every part of it to try to find out how can I describe this to a patent person who I don't know, in a foreign country, whatever, and it convinces them that it does work.
And?
I mean, it's almost impossible. So I had to start
Right.
coming up with different ideas and theories and researching them. And, well, is this happening? Is this happening? Well, no, it isn't. Yeah, it is. But why is it happening? Then all of a sudden we're running the rods in there. We pull them out, and we find out one day that they have a magnetic charge. There's a north and a south. But some of the units we built were out of glass. Well, glass doesn't hold a magnetic charge, according to what I was told.
Right.
So when I pull a piece of glass out, and it's got a north and a south, and I show this to a scientist, and I say, look at this. How do I explain it? And they're looking at me going, you don't. That can't happen. That's impossible.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So when you're telling somebody that you see somebody floating at the end of the hallway, that's easier to explain than what was happening in my engine.
Wow. Now, so in other words, if you took a glass tube and put a glass rod in it, you would get the same effect?
Absolutely. Only when it's all made out of glass, you can see the lightning bolts, the ball of light. You can see everything.
Wow. So there are some made out of glass.
Oh yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I thought they had to be made out of metal, something that was magnetic.
That's kind of what we told the public, because that at the time was what we believed. But with any new discovery in science, you learn something new the next day.
Right.
Something new the next day. Now, do you want to have 100,000 people a day finding out what is today's discovery, or do you just put up what you have and then make all the discoveries you can, put up a newer version?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way you do it, naturally.
I didn't lie to people when I said this works. It works, but now we have all these other new discoveries, so we put up a newer model. And in the next
right. Well, as more and more people experiment, you're going to have more and more findings. That's obvious. Unless somebody's trying to keep it out of everybody's hands, then you have problems, which you've already proven.
Correct. But at the same time, some people took my pictures, modified them by adding one or two words to it, and then putting their name under it saying copyright by them. No, I made the discovery, and why are you trying to snitch it? Come on. At least give me credit.
Yeah, that's horrible. That's, to me, that's worse than stealing, because you not only misrepresent the person, the product, but you're misrepresenting yourself, and
yes.
it hurts other people. But anyway, so you came up with this. Now I've noticed on YouTube you have a lot of people, not a lot of people, but several really good people that are helping you. How'd that happen? Did you lose a lot of them when you went in, or are they still around, the people that were helping you before?
Well, I would have to say 10 to 15,000 American people, when they saw what happened to me, they backed off and they said, I don't know, Paul. No, I don't have one. Oh, no, I can't talk about it. They went underground because they didn't want the government pressure on them, because they knew I was real, but they were also afraid if this happened to me, what would happen to them. So they went completely underground. The Europeans said, no, Paul had something and it works, and here it is, and I built one, and I've got 50 more over here, and there are assembly lines right now in Paris. If you've got a tractor and you want to buy parts, there's a few places where they're building them, mass producing them, and selling them out the door.
Yep, that's well, this. Yeah, the whole thing is that it works, because with you giving away plans and all these different people, like I said, there's probably, I don't know how many YouTube people on there swearing by the contraption. It's
a good way of wording it, yeah.
It's just I just wrote a book about somebody else, and I used the word in there. It just came to me now. But it just blows me away the way that the people are behind you, that are behind you. Those that really get into it, you know, I haven't really seen that much poop on. You know, a few people, but you're going to always have that. What do you think about? Do you have when you give your talks and stuff? Do you have people that poop on you, or do most people jump in and see right away that you have something there?
Well, I think the biggest guy who did that in this country is Dennis Lee. He actually bought a couple of my engines, and then he went around the country and raised millions of dollars claiming it was his invention. And yet they're not prosecuting him. I mean, they did a Dateline show on him and told people that he was a fraud, and then they showed my engine with him, and he says, oh, no, that's mine. Well, why isn't his name on my patent? His technology. Yep. Come on, wake up. He didn't invent anything.
It blows me away that they're not taking care of the patent law either, because you know it's obvious they don't really care. It kind of weakens your case for these other people to be running around with it. You know.
No, I took him to court in Salt Lake, and he was told not to call it. He couldn't call it GEAT anymore. He couldn't do it anymore, and he said, "Your Honor, I'm not selling GEAT. I'm selling the exact opposite of GEAT. I'm selling TEEG, T-E-E-G." I couldn't believe he said that in the courtroom, but he did.
Oh my God, that's horrible. Yeah, and what about using this for making your own electricity in a generator?
Well, we're teaching that in the classroom.
Can you explain how that works?
Well, you put it on a small engine or any engine you want, and you have it so it runs more efficient, and you hook it to what you want to, whether it's a pump or a generator.
So this works with any engine in the world.
Furnace, or boiler, or anything. Hot water heater. We have an Indian man who had a galvanizing plant in the Chicago area, and he said he was using about $1.5 million a year in natural gas. I said, well, we can cut that by 2/3. All you got to do is put a GEAT in there. It probably cost him maybe $2,000. Well, he gave me a deposit, went home, put it in, and it worked. I never saw a dime after that.
All those savings.
The Indian, he's doing it.
But you help the atmosphere, so that's worth a lot in itself.
Well, I've asked for anybody, even GM, Ford, Chrysler, any of them. I said, if you guys want to really use the technology, give me 3%. That's it. Give me 3% of your net on what you're doing with my technology and make it happen. I mean, put America back to work. And do I see that happening? No. But I see that interest from foreign countries.
So you have approached or been approached by the big gas guzzling companies, the auto builders?
They're engineers and they're people, but they've always said, we can't do it. We have too many political ties to the oil industry. We can't do it. So why try? Why be against the wall when they
there's always been a rumor that goes around that when somebody comes up with this type of technology, I remember back in the 60s there was a guy, Flash or whatever, I can't remember his name exactly, came up with some crystals that he could add to water or whatever. Well, when somebody comes up with this stuff, it always seems that they just get pushed to the side. Don't you see that as a plan?
Yeah.
To keep the status quo? I mean, isn't it so obvious that other Americans can see this? I don't understand it. Do you?
Could be. But they want to believe what they see on the news and on TV. That's why tonight I was thrilled when I saw the CBS and Fox both gave a good presentation. They didn't come out with, see the crazy inventor pouring fuel, melting.
Yeah, right.
No, look at this. We got a way we can reduce pollution. And it was
and was that on network news or was that on local programming?
The local news. I don't know how many of the networks picked up on it, but here it is. It works.
Great, great. Maybe you'll get more of that.
That would be nice.
Yep. Yep. Kathy says you've got the government running scared.
I hope so.
I think you have too, my man. We're proud of you here.
Like I said, if anything happens to me this time, again, like the last time, we're not waiting 3.5 years. It'll happen very quickly, and the water plants will be released.
Well, you get in touch. Get in touch with me or Rick, and we'll be out there screaming, man.
Well, I got a feeling between you guys and all the other shows I've done, it will be out there, and it isn't going to be 1.8 million hits. It's going to probably be about 20 million hits the first day.
Yep. Yep. You're on a roll, and I want you to keep it going.
Yep.
You know, because we need this invention of yours, and it's a shame other people are trying to rip you off like they are. But you know, what goes around comes around, and in the end, you'll get exactly what's coming to you for the good you've done, and the same for the bad. You know, so this engine is just a mind blower, and it's been around what, about 4 or 5 years, hasn't it?
My technology?
Your engine.
The newspaper was 1984.
1984. So that's 15 years
Yeah.
or something. And but now you're getting more exposure than ever before, aren't you? It seems like.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, by teaming up. And give the site that you teamed up with those Tesla group over there. They're really nice people also.
Oh,
what is
yeah.
their
Anybody
site?
who wants to buy the plans, if you don't want the free plans and you want to help donate there, get a hold of teslatech.info. And they have the plans. They've reduced the price from 250 to 150, and then $50 for every additional vehicle you want to put it on, and they'll sell you the plans with help. And that means if you have a problem, you want to know what the length of something is or how to put it on something, you send an email and we respond back to you and we tell you how to make it fit that unit. Now, if you're getting the free plans off the Internet, there's no technical help. You got to figure it out. Play with it. Build it different. Try something new.
Yeah, man. And if you find out anything, be sure and get it to Paul. I'm sure he wants to know what he thinks.
Yeah, please tell me if you discover anything new. We're looking for more. My site, of course, is www.geet.nl. And if you want to email me, if you want to come to class, get a hold of me at paul@geet.nl.
Yeah, you guys get active on this, because this to me seems like, I mean, I know some of your mechanics out there. You got an old car.
Right now we've got about a dozen up in here at this show in Albuquerque right now that are wanting to leave here in the next 24 to 48 hours. They want to leave here licensed and be able to go home and set up shops throughout the United States and Europe and Australia. They're going to open up shops, hire mechanics, and start putting them on equipment. So we do have people here that are to be licensed. They're here to listen to the presentations and to get that license right now.
Yep. So you guys, you know, there's a chance you can get over there and go through the classes and get in on the beginning of this stuff. Also, tell us a little bit about those classes again. We got people that didn't hear you the first time.
Well, I'm only offering 4 classes. It'll be the 3rd week of August, the 3rd week of September, the 2nd week of October and November, and we're only having 25 students per class. We're about 75 out of the 100 already sold. Once the last ones are sold, we're not going to have any more students come to the classes. That's it.
But you pretty soon you're going to put them out as videos or something, right?
Yeah. We're going to
CDs or DVDs.
Video class, but you have to pay per class. Each one will be a 1 hour.
Sure. And they'll be available on your site once you get them going?
Yes.
Okay. And you'll sell them per lesson?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, everybody keep that in mind, too. You know, like I say, those of you that are mechanically inclined, you know, you might want to look into this, because if it works as good as everybody says it does, it's already tried it. It's something we need to heck with the government. You know, let's just all. If everybody went out there and changed tomorrow, what could they do, right? Right, Paul?
You got it.
well, I think you. Go ahead.
Question here. Being in the home-built aircraft arena, as I am, just barely in the arena, just walking through the door, basically. Have you had any small airplane builders try to do anything with your system, Paul?
Yeah, there's a group of them over in Europe right now. As a matter of fact, if you go to GateNL and look at all the different videos, you'll see there's a Hughes helicopter that's been retrofit. There's a few other planes that have been retrofit. And we've had a couple of jet engines over in Indonesia and I believe Japan that have modified jet engines. And they're getting about 3 to 4 times the normal output per gallon of fuel.
Wow.
Now, the helicopter over in France, I think, is only getting about a 85 to 90% increase in mileage. Only.
Well, that would double their time in the air, so they could have a longer range and all this stuff. Or,
yeah,
if they could, and this is another area, because I asked you about the dynamometer test. Have you had any reports from these people who have built them or used them that they got an increase in horsepower, or just they got an increase in fuel economy? Or is there some?
Well, University of Berlin, when they got a hold of me, they found a 30% increase in horsepower just by reducing the size of the exhaust pipe around the reactor. They got another 25 to 30% increase on a Volkswagen by using the gate just under normal conditions. We've had other universities around the world that don't want to put the university tag on it because they're not allowed to do any endorsements unless they own the patent.
Right.
Universities are no longer teaching facilities. They have become business entities.
Well, they always were. They just disguised it well.
Well, now they're a little bit more bold about it.
Yeah. And if they get grants, of course, to develop anything that they actually do develop, and then, of course, the person who does the work, professor, undergrad, whoever that person might be.
Well, right. And right now I'm looking at people in universities in Europe saying that if you are the inventor and you're willing to work with us, can we give you 5% of our grant money? And in the United States, they're saying, no, you should be honored that we're doing the work and stealing it from you by changing it by 10%. No, thank you. I'd rather work with somebody who's honorable.
Good luck.
Well, it sounds like he's got a better chance where he's going than where he is, which is unfortunate.
And a better system on that part of it, at least.
Right. So, did you have anything else right this minute, Rick?
No, go ahead. I'm thinking stuff up as I get along.
Okay. What's some of the other? You said there was 135 or something different, things that are showing up. Maybe not wholly, but what are some of the other things that are showing up that this might be used for, this technology?
Well, in one of them, we found a way of hardening substances way beyond their normal scientific means.
Okay.
We found a way of hardening aluminum so it becomes harder than carbide.
Wow. Whoa. Wow, that's pretty neat. So that's a mind blower, and that's the same way, I guess, by placing it close to the contraption, as I called it, as hold it close to it.
So we're not ready to release that one yet.
I can understand.
We're not quite ready to release that openly to the public, but that's one of the unusual phenomenon we've discovered. We also have another discovery we made that when running it on a surface of water, we were able to create 42 tornadoes between the floor and the rod itself in about 30 minutes.
Wow.
Whoa.
Now, to my knowledge, there is no university in the world or any laboratory in the world that can actually create a naturally formed tornado and study it. So I believe right now if we have some open-minded people at the universities, we could teach them not only how to make the tornado, but how to study it. We found a way of stopping a tornado once it has started.
Okay, you found a way?
Yeah. But
Well,
it's not something that you don't want to pass this out in the general public, but it would be a good thing to do for FEMA or some agency that really cares that would like to stop them before they hit communities.
Would you really want to give it to FEMA? Would you really want to give it to FEMA? I don't know about that, though.
Well, at this point, no. So far, they've shown no support like any other government agency in this country. So we've gotten some letters recently in the last 2 days from people saying they represent United Nations transfer of technology groups. And I'm even looking at those seriously because at least it's not U.S. government. I mean, let me at least look at them. I don't really feel good about working with them, but maybe they'll help me get it out to third world countries.
I'd probably trust them far less than I would trust the United States government, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm feeling.
Probably, and this one's full of minefields too, but you're probably going to be better off with a private group, no government involved.
Well, so far all the private groups that have come to me, even those carrying Bibles, they've all said they want to do something. They don't offer anything up front other than the promises that God is going to bless me. Well, I'd rather give it away to the world. If you can't put any money down, and I've spent my whole life getting here, and I've been tortured to get it away from me, I'm not going to hand it to somebody who can't show me something.
Right.
And any sane man does not blame you.
Well, I mean, if I could see donations coming in from people where there's some interest from the people, I mean, 1.8 million people going to my site, even if they only put 10 cents each in, that would be something in return, where I haven't seen that much from my government.
Right. Well, hopefully that's going to happen, but, we also got to keep in mind that, everybody's pretty much hurting out there right now. This country's in the worst shape it's been in. I say if it wasn't for credit cards, we'd be in as bad a shape as they were in '29. So,
well, it broke my heart coming out here, Oklahoma, as we went through some of the little towns, and I see all these abandoned buildings where they don't look like they've been abandoned that long, but the windows are missing, the doors are missing. They're recycling everything they can for $1 because they have no money.
That's right. Over here at strip malls, over here in Florida, everywhere you look, there's empty strip malls. Some of them are brand new, been empty for 2 years,
Yeah, well,
so it's
a strip mall right behind the house in Duncan, Oklahoma there, where over half the businesses have closed down and left. There's nothing there. I mean, why would anybody go to a mall when there's nothing left in it?
I know it, and what's a shame is the government just has to do a few things, and one of them would be get behind what you're doing heavily.
Yeah.
I mean, Obama could get up there tomorrow and stand up there and say, in 6 months we're going to have one of these on every car, and we'll pay for them, and
10 years ago.
But he's not going to do that.
I used to have my own radio show, and during my own radio show, I said, if I could get the government behind me to put it on new cars, I would charge 10 cents a car, or whatever it took. Just to give them the incentive. I wouldn't want a royalty like that, a big royalty. I mean, come on. You mean to tell me there isn't an American car company that wants to get double or triple their mileage? And not one bite. Not from one politician.
They're all tied into the oil cartel. So, that's what we're living with.
Why try to work with big people in this country? I'd rather work with the little guy, the guy who has to work for a living. Let's help him get better mileage. If you want to run a generator, let's teach you how to run that generator. Don't count on your government. It's not there for you. If you're a trillionaire already, fine.
I think you're doing it in the right way because you can, like I said, you can go overseas and then set up over there where the situation's a little better legally and financially and everything else, and the people understand better, and then ship the stuff back over here. I mean, I think you're doing the right thing.
When I'm in a country when I'm in a country where a judge can look at me and say, you don't have any constitutional rights, I'm not going to let you have your own attorney. You know what? You're going to do what we tell you to do. We're going to keep you until we're tired of keeping you. You don't have any rights. I'm sorry. I thought I was in America. All my life, I've waved that flag. I believe in this country. I've tried to put people to work. I've tried to support our unions and everything else. And what have I gotten? I don't have any teeth left. You can't kick them out anymore.
Right.
We have a question now.
If I'm not welcome here, then maybe I should go where I'm welcome. But the people want me here.
You're always welcome on the show, Paul. We'll figure out a way to get you free long distance from wherever you end up. Anyway, we have a question out of the chat room. Don up in Hamilton, Ontario wants to know if you've had any interest or offers from anyone in Canada. Is there any work based on your work being done in Canada?
We have a lot of interest right now in getting Canadian people down to our school. Several people have signed up. They've contacted me and said they're having a problem even getting a passport to get across the border to get here, but they want to get here, and they don't care which class it is. They want to get here, learn it, and go back and start opening shops.
Cool. Well, that was my question out of the chat room. I would like to take this opportunity to invite anyone who is not in the chat room but listening to this program to call with your question, and that number is 347-884-9281. So, there we go. Back to your discussion. Dennis, I'm sure that you have about 4 more pages of notes. I know how you are.
Actually, I about run through my notes, but I still have questions. I mean, we've got him here. We're going to keep a hold of him. He's so interesting. Paul, you just one of our interesting guests of all time, because you've really done something. You know, a lot of people, even myself, we research and we talk and we try to convince people to our ideas or whatever. But you've actually gone out there and created something that rubs the controllers the wrong way. And that to me just it just fascinates me what you've accomplished. How many people are actually putting? I know some of the older things said they're on 200 vehicles across the nation, or 200 different pieces of machinery. But how fast is this growing as a grassroots? How fast are people downloading the plans and actually building them or not? Do you get any word on that?
Well, as of 3 days ago, I was told 70,000 people had downloaded them in just about a 2.5-day period. So that number is probably double at least. The problem I saw in traveling across this great country, and I spent 3.5 years, 1998, 99, in that area, touring the United States, and the problem I found was all these groups. The Republic of this, the Republic of that, and the Libertarian group here, all these groups, they would have some strength if they could just learn how to get along on one common ground. But instead, they all wanted to stand independently. If you want to be counted, stand together. Quit trying to figure out, I'm better than he is and she's better than he is. Get along. Learn how to bond. Then there's some strength in standing up. But if you're standing up alone, you can't do anything. And that was the biggest thing I saw as I went around this country, is all these survivalist shows and preparedness shows. And nobody was prepared. I'm only going to fight for me. I'm not going to fight for you. I mean, if you want to say something, stand together with your neighbor and say it together. You'll be heard.
But on the other hand, just today, one of the most powerful lobbies in this country, the NRA, was snubbed when they went ahead and said, yes, Sotomayor can be our next judge. And there were several 100,000 members that said, no, we don't want her. Too bad. You got her anyway. So in the chat room, the conversation is running towards, go ahead and make some money off of it, Paul. You deserve it.
Well, everybody said, why didn't you give a discount on the plans and sell the plans at a discount? I said, why not give them away?
Well,
I need the money to get the school built, but I need to get the technology out to mankind.
agreed.
I had to weigh out which is more important, me having my new shop or every person on this planet having a copy of the plans.
Well,
I believe
Put everybody out there first.
I believe by giving the plans out like you're going to do, you're going to get the other. That's what I believe, because these plans are going to get in somebody's hands that cares, that has the money, and they're going to get behind you. That's what's going to happen. That's my prediction.
Well, I'm not going to hold my breath. If it happens, fantastic.
Well,
let me just say,
let me just say that one time in my life it happened to me, and I never would believe it would have happened either. And it happened to me. I can't go into it, but at one time in my life I have always given my information away free, and I was giving it away free, and I reached the rope where had used every penny I owned to give it away free, and somebody came along with the bucks to take care of it from then on. So it's going to happen to you, because your stuff is even more important than mine was, and it happened to me. So, buddy, it's going to happen.
Well, I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm just going to keep on plugging as hard as I
wouldn't hold my breath either, because you tend to turn blue. However, I would say that some of those self-proclaimed philanthropists and humanitarians and all that, if they really wanted to help the planet and the people on the planet, which is actually two separate things, they would pony up to this. And I'm talking the Bill Gateses and the Oprah Winfreys and the people, multi-billionaires, the top 10 in the world type folks. If they really cared about what they claim to care about, they'd throw money at this. At least that's my position.
And I believe somewhere along the line they will. I really do. I believe somewhere along the line one of those type will hear this and will promote it with him, because maybe it's got to grow just a little bigger. But I think with all the attention he's getting, and Paul, I'm not talking over you, but all the attention you're getting right now, I believe is going to find that person for you. So
well, I'm not
that's just my belief, and I know in your position right now it's hard to even go there, but you're doing a great thing giving these plans out, and I hope people put them on their vehicles. That's the main thing.
Well, if it's just generators and tractors for now, that's fine. Let's catch up with what the French did. In the last 3.5, 4 years, there are probably 500 to 1,000 more French tractors out there than there was when I went in. And it's those people that made TV week after week after week in France. And if you go on my son's website, which is the D.NL, he's got links to some of those TV broadcasts. They're in French, but if you get the picture real quick when they start showing the numbers on the bottom.
Right. And like I said before, there's tons of stuff on YouTube. Just got to put in Paul's name. The last name is Pantone, and you'll get tons of different people showing you his invention working and all of that. So got to do that. So anyway, Paul, it's great. I know you were. Tell us what you've been doing. You were at a convention this weekend, weren't you? What was going on there?
I'm still at it. Like I said, I was on the news twice tonight, and I'm back on stage tomorrow. I'm demonstrating how to build it. We're taking it apart, putting it together. If you're here in Albuquerque, come on by the Nativo. It is the Tesla Tech sponsored show. Their website, if you need directions, is teslatech.info. And they also are still selling the old plans, which gives you a license to put it on more than one vehicle.
So you have to have a license to put it on more than one vehicle?
The gift I gave to mankind is for one vehicle per family.
Good. Okay. Got you. That's great. So if they buy a license, they can go ahead and put it on a second vehicle, so they can have it on both of their vehicles legally.
Right.
Okay, that's now. Could they order that license, or is that just for the show?
No, they can order that from now on with no problem. Go to the website and order it.
Okay, great. Yeah, I hope you guys listen. Some of you mechanical-minded people will try this on your automobiles and then get back to us. And of course, if it doesn't quite work, you might have to talk to Paul because I guess sometimes people don't put them together quite right. Is that right, Paul?
Well, if they bought a license, I'll walk them through how to do it. They just email me their questions, and I email them back.
Okay. That's if they buy one through the site.
That's correct. If they're getting them for free, what's on the Internet is all you get.
What you see is what you get.
Well,
we got about...
Last month I spent 6,500 minutes on the cell phone.
Woo.
That's a lot of time to be talking to people that bought the plans and said, how do I do this, how do I do that? And I have to read them out once in a while. Did you buy the plans? Well, no, I didn't. I got them free on the Internet. Well, my time is
your time is worth something. And especially at this point in your life, your time is worth a lot.
Yeah, your cell phone.
Right now, if you got a question, you didn't buy the plans, go surf the Internet. A lot of people are building them around the world. Share notes if you want, but if you want to hear the answer from me, direct, with the knowledge, then you have to buy the plans.
Amen. Well, it's about 22. Rick, you got some more you want to finish up with, anybody?
No, actually, most of the chat room is going towards New World Order stuff and getting ready to hit the bed, which I can understand. But Paul's out there on, I guess you're in Mountain Time in Albuquerque, right?
Yep.
So you're a couple hours behind us. So it's only going on midnight out in your neck of the woods, which I guess you've probably been up for the better part of 20 hours anyway.
Yep.
So
well, we're sure glad to have you on our show tonight, Paul, and you're welcome to come back anytime. And you move overseas, keep in touch through email because we
I'm not moving overseas. I'm staying in Duncan, Oklahoma. I'm putting up my facilities there, and I'm going to be doing research on every single product I can get my hands on.
Great.
Any chance on earth that it works, I'm going to build it.
Well, you're gonna
get on what works and what doesn't. You just give me a call and say, "Hey, Paul, have you tried this?"
Well, wow. I'll have some of those questions. So brace yourself.
Yeah, I just wanted to say. I
announced the other day, and I'm going to say it again on your show, that any woman out there that's an inventor who has not been recognized for her invention, and she wants to get some publicity and wants to get her product out there, let me know what it is. I'd be happy to help you get exposure. I'll help hook you up with people. No charge at all. I want to help women inventors be recognized. In the meantime,
they don't have the recognition at all.
They don't. I want women to be recognized. And when I announced this the other day, about 40 women across this country got a hold of me and said, I have an invention. We had one of them here the other day who had 2 inventions, and she got to show them off right here. She one day noticed, she came out, she showed what she had, she went home, and we're going to have her up on YouTube here in the next probably 24 hours. We want the women to be recognized for their accomplishments.
So, Kathy, get out there and invent something and get in touch with Paul. Well, I just want to say, Paul, I want you to become a regular on our show if you can. I know you're going to get real popular, and just remember when you started, because I think it's all up for you now, and nobody else deserves it more than you do. So.
Well, you know how to reach me. If you have any more questions, anytime, give me a holler, and we can do another show.
I sure will. And Rick, if you got anything, it's a little early, but I've run out of questions really, and everybody seems to be getting tired.
Well, I can think of 100 different applications. Well, more than that, but just in small engine stuff, this thing could be. Let's see, what would the right word be? Pervasive. Yeah, ubiquitous. Pick one. Get my mental thesaurus going here. outboard motors for boats.
Yeah. Well, why run outboard motors the way they are when you're in the ocean on a lot of those where you can use salt water? I mean, why use gas or diesel when you've got the salt water there?
Right. Well,
it's got more energy than gas or diesel.
Well, it does, but it also has a lot more corrosive nature, so you'd have to use different materials.
Not in the Gita. No, not in the Gita doesn't.
Okay. Not internal, but it would in the pickup.
Right.
So it can go to weed eaters. It can go to chainsaws. It wouldn't add
anything on the planet that uses fuel. You can modify the gas hot water heater you have in your house right now. If it wasn't sitting there the way it is, if you modified it with a geese, you got geese, and you're getting triple the output of hot water for the same price. Every appliance we have today in our home that uses gas could be 3 times more efficient. I mean, there is no limit to how to apply it.
Including many of the heating systems.
Yeah.
And if I'm interpreting some of what you've said correctly, you can adapt it as an electrical generator and even run things like heat pumps.
Yes.
For almost nothing. And take it from me, a heat pump doesn't run for free.
You got it.
Well, anyway, I can think of many, many different applications. I'm leaning towards that electrical generation as my first application to try, simply because I got some old generators and one brand new one sitting around here. And after the global warming initiative takes effect in this country, the $1,500 a year per household extra money that is strictly for taxes, by the way, is going to be a deterrent. But if it's not running through my meter, then they won't get it.
You got it.
And I've got a big pond. I can run a lot of water through it.
Well, it wouldn't be recyclable, would it?
Oh, yeah.
It bubbles. It bubbles. That's what I wanted to ask you real quick. We run out of time, I know. But what's with the bubble, the bubbling effect? Is that just, are you just putting air into it to make it bubble like in a fish tank? Is that all you're doing?
That's it. Then you take the vapor off the top and you use that.
Ah, yeah, and then there'd be one video I was looking at said there would be no wear and tear on the interior of your engine because the pistons and all would be getting even. Everything would be even.
That's correct. We're getting about 10 to 20 times the life out of a gasoline engine, but since there's no carbon buildup and there's no heat, you never have to change the oil.
And the fuel burns evenly because it's a gas.
That's correct.
Yeah, it all makes sense. That's what gets me is it makes so much sense, I just can't see how the government can't jump right in.
Makes sense.
I don't see why there's not some senator or congressman up there hollering about this.
I do.
Because none of them are in my pocket.
Right. They own stock in Exxon. They own stock in what used to be Standard Oil, now BP. They're not in the business of saving us money, and they never were.
Oh. They never were. They never will be.
Right.
No, but
their
people
job
like you are
to take all the money they can.
That's exactly right. It's redistribute the money the way they wanted to redistribute.
Yep.
And the quickest way they can get it is through the oil that they control, and to hell with everything else. It's a shame, but I think more and more people are waking up. We could sit here and talk about this on the internet now, and several hundred people, will listen over the next week or so, but 5 years ago when you talked about it, or 10 years ago when you talked about it, people laughed at you. People don't laugh at you anymore when you say you're into studying what the government's doing.
Nope.
So I think things are looking better before they look worse, so to say, so to speak. But when when we hear a story like yours about what you went through the last couple of years of your life, because of trying to better mankind, that is worse than a crime, and somebody should pay for that, you know, and that's just the way it is. I feel so sorry for you for what they put you through. I can tell you one thing: you can get cheap dental work in Mexico because I did it. I got $10,000. I got $10,000 worth of dental work done in Mexico for $1,000, and I went to my dentist when I came back, and he said it was as good as anything he could have done. So
the problem is, I was already told, if I leave this country, I will never be allowed back in.
See, oh man, I tell you can't even walk over the line at Matamoros. I'm telling you, well, you're gonna. Oh, so that's why you can't go with your son. Oh, okay.
That's right.
Oh man, that's. You know, they want you under their thumb, but they don't want to help you out. It's terrible. It's just terrible. You know, as a small talk show host, it just makes me speechless almost. And I've known about how this government was since the '60s. But to actually talk to a man who's been tortured and treated like that, I don't know what else to say, my man. I feel for you.
Out of the chat room, this guy's from Denmark. He says, if you ever decide to go to Europe, get your teeth done first.
So right now, I have dentists all over the United States that have offered to fix my teeth for free.
Great. That's the kind of stuff I was talking about earlier. You're gonna, you know, you've been out there fighting for everybody, and now people are starting to see it. Those that can are going to help you in a way they can help you. You know, so my advice is to keep on giving them plans away. It doesn't matter. You know, the more of them that get out there, the more you're cutting into that damn controllers, and that's who we're after to start with.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and you're doing a good job. And if there was medals to give out, I'd have Rick make you one. But I don't know how good he is at doing it.
Like I said, the best presentation I've ever given in my life, I was told, was yesterday. If anybody wants to get a copy of that, it is available. They can get a hold of teslatech.info and say they want the Paul Pantone presentation. It's about an hour and a half, 45 minutes long, and they have it on disc here, and I don't know what it costs, but you'll see it at the teslatech.info site, and it was a hot seller. The minute I walked out, I was getting hugs and kisses, and people saying that they've never heard a presentation like that in their life. It was, as far as everybody else there was concerned, it was dynamic, and to me it was just what I had to say. It was.
Well, you guys go over there and get that.
Only there was no host. It was just nonstop. I said what I had to say.
Well, you guys go over and get that. Rick, would you put that website up in the chat room for us, everybody?
Put the Tesla Tech up right now. That's actually the page for the plan and diagram and stuff, but you can back up and find the presentation.
So, yeah, it's teslatech.info, and I don't even know if they have it up yet. It should be up on their site today, but if not, it'll be up there probably Monday afternoon. But everybody coming out, they were congratulating me, and I've never had that much a response from an audience before in my life. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, you guys get your hands on that study and then tell your friends about it and start raving about what Paul's doing, because he needs all the help he can get financially and by word of mouth. What I've discovered a long time ago is that once somebody like Paul comes out like this and just throws everything out there and starts appearing on radio and stuff, the government backs off. They're more sneaky.
The lights came on and the cockroaches are running.
Exactly. When you lift up a rock, When you lift a rock, you see all the creepy crawlies, but they're all running under the grass. So there you go.
Yep.
As long as they don't
Well,
rear up and have fangs. Because I have that around here occasionally. Anyway, we're down to about 6, 7 minutes left in this program. Paul, I'd like to give you this opportunity to deliver any message you would like to do for our listeners, both live and in the archive.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
I said I'd like to, we got about 5 minutes remaining, almost 6 minutes remaining. I'd like to offer this time to you to deliver any message you have for our listeners, or whether live or in the archive.
Okay, well, if you can go to geek.nl, download the plans. In case, for any reason, that site goes down, make sure you get a copy of them while that site is up. But it's geek.nl. If you've got the plans, build a set and tell people how it runs. Go on chat lines. Let me know how it runs. Drop me a line. It's paul@geek.nl. If you've got one running, show your neighbor. Let everybody know you've got one running. The only way we're going to let this government know, or any government know, that it can be done is people need to do it. Get off your hands. Get on the computer. Build it. And have fun doing it.
Well, I'm going to have fun building it.
And like I said, Paul, we want you to come back regularly and keep us informed about what's going on with you and how we, us or our audience can help you. And
well, if you have any building materials and you're close to Duncan, Oklahoma, let me know. We need building materials. I'm going to try to put up a whole bunch of buildings, about 25,000, 30,000 square feet. I need windows, I need metal, I need roofing, I need all kinds of materials. So if anybody out there has got a building they were going to put up, they decided not to, let me know on that. I mean, I need the materials. I need test equipment.
I'm sorry. You're starting out with nothing. Once you get into that, come back on our show. Once you get into the building stage, and we'll work on getting you some more stuff if we can.
That'd be great.
Yep. So I'm sure that our listeners, none of us get real active very often, but this is a time when I'm asking people to get active, and I'm going to be writing some stuff on some of my sites and whatnot about you also, buddy.
Well, I would appreciate any and all help I can get. We've had a few people that have called me and said they got some old cars from 40s and 50s that I can retrofit, and they're going to donate those. So I'm looking forward to anybody and everybody that can help, because right now I'm starting out with the 4 or 5 boxes of stuff I had left when I got out, because I used to have a 15,000 square foot shop in Salt Lake. Everything I owned was stolen.
Wow. Well, in 5 years, you look back on that as small time, I'm sure, because I think the right things are going to happen for you, buddy.
I know I will.
You've got the attitude, and you're for the people, and the bottom line is America, the government we have isn't exactly the best in the world, but the bottom line is that the people are always going to step up to bat when they're needed. And I think once more and more people see this, that's exactly what's going to happen. I think you're going to, and I've seen a lot, like I say, I've studied a lot of this stuff and seen it come along. But after looking at everything about what you've done, I think you're going to change the whole outlook on the combustible engine, and we'll appreciate that.
And for the people who really can't afford anything, don't worry about sending me a dime. Just take the plans, build one to help your own family out, put one on a generator so you got power when you need it, and don't worry about me. God will take care of me later.
Okay, I have one last question. I think we have time for one last question.
Go ahead.
This one came out of a very recent person joining the chat room. He said, "Why Duncan? Why are you going to Duncan, Oklahoma?"
Well, I have a place to be there with a lot of acreage. No building permits. I don't need to jump through a hoop. I can do what I want.
Well, that's one reason I live in Davies County, Indiana. The only thing we have to have a permit for is a septic. So we're down to a minute and a half remaining in this, Paul. I want to say thank you, and also for all the people who have joined us tonight and been in the chat room. It's been an exciting and riveting discussion for me, I guess. Dennis, I'm sure, feels the same way.
Oh, yeah. I loved it. One of the best guests
it.
we've had in a long time. We sure appreciate it, Paul. You're a knowledgeable guest, and I'm glad I did a little braining up, or I wouldn't have been able to keep up with you. And all you guys in the chat room, thanks for stopping by. Usual crowd. Good to see y'all. What you need to get done.
Well, earlier today I was on CBS News here in Albuquerque at 5:30, and then at 9 o'clock I was on Fox News here in Albuquerque. And people get to see me now that knew me 5 years ago with all my teeth, and they're seeing me now with no teeth in my head. Well, I had my teeth until they drilled them out and said, you can't get fillings unless you sign your patent over.
Great.
Oh, man. That's unbelievable. Rick, did you want to come in for a minute? I know I haven't been right. I know you're real anxious to talk to Paul.
Well, I think we have another hour and 48 minutes. I'll get my questions in if you have something you want to get to right now.
No, I just thought while we're on this subject of the government thing, you might want to say something or talk.
Well, actually, yeah, let me bring up one thing that I found in the chat room. Kathy from Virginia says she has a sister, she heard from her sister, and many people in New Zealand are using these engines, using the homemade, making them from the plant. And they seem to be working well over there.
We have people right now in Albuquerque getting ready to leave here in the next 2 weeks. They're going to be going back to start opening up shops in Indonesia, New Zealand, and Australia. We're opening up all over the world. We're not trying to open up in America. We don't want to fight the battle against this government. Let's go elsewhere. Let's go where the people want to have zero pollution and better mileage.
Exactly. We know about the oil companies, but they're worldwide. So what is it in the United States that's keeping it back? Is it the idiocy of the populace, or what is it?
No, it is the, we've allowed GM, Ford, Chrysler, Caterpillar, Cummins, and all these big companies that do things to threaten their dealers and say, hey, don't sell this guy parts. Hey, don't honor your warranties. Tell this man that he can't put it on our equipment. We're not going to let him. We don't want this technology.
So in other words, they're afraid of it.
Yeah.
Boy. So what can our listeners do? What can we do as people about this horrible thing? I mean, you've obviously got not probably the answer, but at least part of the answer to our problems, and the higher ups won't even listen to you. What can everybody do?
Well, they can go to the website, geet.nl, or if they're in Albuquerque area and they want to come down here tomorrow, this is my last presentation. I'll be doing a workshop where we're going to take an engine apart in front of the audience and let a couple of people from the audience come up and put it back together. And we're going to show you that a 10th grader, 8th grader can put it together and make it run in a matter of minutes. It's that simple.
Whoa.
If you can't get down here and you want to get the plans, get it off the internet. If you want to ask questions, the free plans aren't the way to go. You want to buy a set of plans from teslatech.info and tell them you want just one license to put it on one engine, and then they'll help you through the information you need to dial it in so that you can get the results you need.
Wow, and man, you're just blowing me away with this information. My mind's going crazy. It's crazy that I've thought I was on top of everything, but this has been around for a while, and I wasn't even aware of it until I heard you on another show. What's some of the other uses for this same technology? I know I heard you talking about some medical uses.
Furnaces, boilers, anything that uses fuel on the planet can be increased by double to triple and have 95 to 99% less pollution. Anything.
Oh, that's unbelievable. We're talking for those of you that have just joined us. We're talking with Paul Pantone. He's the inventor of the global environmental energy technology system that would cut our energy uses in half. It seems like in every machine that uses any kind of fuel, and there's plenty of proof of this. If you go put his name, Paul Pantone. That's Paul Pantone. Google his name. You'll find tons of testimonials and some of his speeches and talks and whatever. It's all there, Paul. It's a lot of information out there about you, buddy.
Excuse me. Yesterday I gave about an hour and 45-minute presentation here at the conference. And if you get a hold of them at teslatech.info, I have been told by at least a third or more of the audience, they came up, gave me hugs, kisses, wanted pictures, autographs. They said it was the best speech or presentation they have ever heard in their life. They said it was that dynamic. Yet at the same time, I was standing up there on a broken left foot, without their knowing it, a fractured right foot, and I am standing up there smiling as I give this presentation with no teeth, and they all said it was a great presentation. And I really felt it was not one of my best, but I put my heart into it because of what I was overcoming to get it done. But now it looks like they want a bigger presentation tomorrow.
Great. I saw your presentation. There's several parts of it on YouTube, and it was really great. Kathy in the chat room asks, do you have to do a lot of altering or converting to make it work on a car?
No. An older car does not take any major work at all. It's about an 8-inch piece of exhaust pipe that needs to be modified, and the carburetor itself has to have a plate put under it to allow the new fuel to go in. The newer cars, it's almost impossible, unless you're an electronics genius, to figure out how to bypass all of it. Because if you really look at it, you don't need the smog pump, you don't need the radiator, you don't need any of the garbage in front of the engine. You just need a basic engine.
Huh.
And it's not just
a little four-cylinder.
If you have a generator system for your home or your camper or whatever, if you want to generate electricity using a gasoline, quote-unquote, gasoline internal combustion engine, you can convert it very cheaply, about $20 from what I'm
You can buy, yeah, the parts are about $20, $25, and you can do it yourself.
Yeah. And, okay, I'll just launch into my questions here. I've looked at the plans, I've looked at the diagrams on Tesla Tech, and I'll be going to your site after this show. I'll probably be up all night. But anyway, I have many questions with regard to not so much how it works, but we can get into that in a minute. Where I want to go is, has anybody done anything with a dynamometer and other equipment to measure things like power curve, acceleration rates, things like that?
We have a dyno test that was done in Salt Lake that all I could do was laugh. The guy did the test. He hooked us up to the dyno. Now, keep in mind, this is a Ford 454, one of the big ones. The guy just towed in about 6,500 pounds of water behind his truck. We had to disconnect the water tank because he has a service that requires a lot of water. He pulled in. They hooked it up to the dyno, hooked up every bit of the equipment, and said it was putting out 10 horsepower based on their computer. Well, my question is, can 10 horsepower travel down the freeway at 85 miles an hour pulling that much weight? He said, no, it can't. I said, then why did he drive in here pulling that, and he's going to leave here pulling that? Can you explain it? He said, no, it's physically impossible. It can't be done.
Well, not with 10 horsepower, but I guess my question would be, if the dynamometer was set up right for this type of output, if it was set up directly to the drive shaft or something, then that would be one thing. But if he's checking it in some other way, who knows?
Electronically, to the exhaust pipe, to the emissions, it was putting out 21% oxygen. Therefore, it was not running.
Right. It was putting out more oxygen than it was taking in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So I have plans. I have 3 different electrical generators, gasoline-powered electrical generators around here. And one of them is adequate to run the house if I'm not running everything at once. So I'm probably over the next couple of weeks going to be figuring out how to modify it.
Well, your best bet would be to see if you can sneak into one of them spots I have left for teaching. Because if you came to the school and learned how to do it, you'd be modifying everything you own. Because once you know how to use the system, you don't need the fuel like you ever needed before. We actually showed in one of our private classrooms, which we are going to show, 1 aluminum can has more energy in it, if you know how to use it, than 3.5 gallons to 5.5 gallons of gasoline.
Okay. Well, I'm burning about over 100 gallons of gasoline per year just mowing here, just mowing the grass. So I have a lot of grass. But when you go figuring up at $2 and something a gallon, and probably be $4 a gallon next summer, I'm going to try to avoid that. Cost avoidance is a big thing with me. I must be Scottish by nature.
With lawnmowers, we've had people get as much as 30 times more energy per gallon than the conventional system when they convert.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Well, no, you do a closed-loop system where there's no exhaust. The exhaust gets rerouted back into the intake. Then you're really getting some efficiencies.
So you can route all of it back into the intake. Well, sure, if you got mostly oxygen coming out of it, or that high oxygen coming out of it.
You know, there's one question I need to invoke here. It came from Kathy, or just a quote she made. But what about legal? What's the legal? I mean, like in some states, they're really rough on air pollution, and you got to have all the catalytic converters and all that stuff hooked up right. What's the story on that?
Well, if politicians weren't getting royalties from catalytic converters, we'd probably be a better off planet. But there's too many people making money off the catalytic converters. And they are not working the way they're supposed to. They're actually polluting the air more than the pollution itself.
Been proven, right? So, but I mean, what's the legal ramifications? You put this on your car, and then you got to go get an inspection at the end of the year.
Well, when I took my Suburban in, my '84 Suburban in to get it smogged, it failed. We did not have enough pollution, and in Utah, the law said we had to have between 120 and 240 parts per million hydrocarbon, and we didn't have any. So we failed the test. We were supposed to have approximately 8% oxygen coming out the tailpipe. We had 22% oxygen coming out the tailpipe. So we were too clean and couldn't pass. So they had to give us a waiver. An emissions waiver means you pollute too much.
You weren't polluting enough in reality.
You got it.
Kind of like driving too slow. I'm sorry, Rick. It fit right in that spot. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I'm back on the mower and small engine thing, because a lot of people think the only thing we use hydrocarbon fuels for is cars and trucks and trains and boats and airplanes and stuff. But there's probably nearly as much of that fuel, that petroleum product, going through small engines as there is through road engines or transportation engines. And if we could convert just those engines, we would cut the pollution in half.
Well, I got an email about a month ago from the guy who says there are 14 of the world's biggest engines on ships that haul all these containers. And those 14 container haulers pollute more than all the cars on the entire planet. And we could reduce the pollution on those 14, just those 14 ships, to 95% less pollution, then nobody'd notice the rest of the pollution we have on the planet.
Well, I have a suggestion, and I know you're not going to like this idea, but the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Coast Guard use great big giant diesels to move their platforms, and they're always looking for fuel economy measures. Have you gone that route at all?
Because of the resistance in 30 years from my own government to even defend me, I don't think I want to sell anything to any military application in the world.
Okay. It was just a point of curiosity. I spent 15 years.
No, if somebody else would like to set up a company and come to me and make a proposal and say they'd like to do it, fine. But I don't want to deal with it.
Okay. Understood and appreciated.
Yeah, really.
I'm sorry, I was tortured for 3.5 years by this government for something I didn't even do.
Yep.
No, I don't want to work in this country anymore. I want to help the people in this country, but not the government.
Okay, next question.
I could understand that.
Has anybody tried to figure out how to hook this up to turbine engines?
Yes, we've received emails from Europe and China that it works great on turbines, and we have asked them to stop all communication until I have a new address out of the U.S.
Okay, fair enough. Because that's another big source of raw hydrocarbons getting in the air.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I'll think of about 100 more questions in the next hour and 20 minutes. If you want to jump in there, I know you prepared a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, no problem. I wanted you to walk us through your what happened to you when they railroaded you into the mental hospital. Could you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, I was told I was coming in for a status hearing one day, and I walked in for a status hearing, and my attorney had already cut a deal with the Attorney General and other people and the judge behind my back. And when I walked in, they said, "You're arrested. We're going to hold you at the jail, and you're going to serve 4 months for securities fraud." And I said, "For what?" And they said, "Well, you're guilty of securities fraud, and we're not going to accept any arguments or any motions you have. You're going to serve your time." Before I finished serving the 4 months, they said, "Well, you're mentally incapable of being able to be sentenced." I said, "Wait a minute. I've already been sentenced. I've served my sentence. What are you talking about?" And they put me in a mental hospital. When I got down there, they told me that I couldn't leave the mental hospital until I agreed that the technology didn't work, and I signed the patent rights over to the Attorney General. And I refused to do it. So when I first got there, they went ahead and drilled all my teeth out, all my fillings, and said they were going to replace them with these new state-of-the-art fillings that were better than the metal, which we all know is bad. So I let them drill them out while I'm handcuffed to the chair, and the next thing I know is they're saying, "Now, if you're not going to sign the papers giving us the patent and admitting you're mentally ill, we're not going to release you, ever."
Oh, my God.
All of my teeth rotted in my head. They refused medical attention. They refused to give me painkillers. I'm sorry, this is flat-out torture. I'd rather have been put in Guantanamo.
I totally agree with you, and I'm glad that you have the nerve to tell people exactly what happened to you. There's a lot of people that just go along with the program and, you know, watching the TV and whatever. They don't realize this is going on to people that get into things that the controllers do not want anybody to get into. And so, how did you finally get out of that horror house?
Well, thanks to a lot of people here in the States that were helping me with bombardments of email and stuff to other people, senators and congressmen. Finally, a senator came forward, Senator Chris Butters in Salt Lake. And he said, we do not torture people in this state. I said, bull, I'm here. I watch it every day with all these other patients that are being tortured. What do you mean we're not being tortured? And when I told them how they drilled my teeth out and they made me walk on a broken foot and they refused to give me medical attention when I needed it, he had an investigation started. At the same time, we hired a new attorney, and the judge said, I'm not going to let you have an attorney. You're not legally allowed to have an attorney. I'm going to appoint one for you. The whole thing was all constitutional. I said, you can't do this. We can do anything we want. Sue us. So finally, my son, David, he's only 24 years old. He was over in the Netherlands. He went over there just to fight this battle. And for a year and a half, he kept saying what he was going to do, and he started doing it on YouTube, showing pictures of my broken foot and my teeth all knocked out. And he kept showing this, saying, hey, is this the way we treat people that are supposed to be getting treatment? He was embarrassing them. He embarrassed them so bad. They were almost in tears saying, can you please shut him up? And I kept saying, open the door.
Right.
Hey, give me a release. And the only way they could see to release me was to say, okay, you're mentally incompetent, and therefore you can't sue us. So now you can leave. Even though the law said they couldn't hold me, they totally ignored state and federal law. They just did what they wanted.
And then when they released you, they just released you with your teeth all messed up and everything, and your legs and whatnot, and then you're supposed to go on your own out here with nothing and get them fixed? Is that what the story is?
Well, they released me out the door. When I got to the door to get into the sheriff's van to go back to the court and stand in front of the judge to be released, they said, he's not leaving with the wheelchair. He can walk, crawl. We don't care, but he doesn't get the wheelchair. Now, I've been in a wheelchair for 2 years before that. I can't walk. I need a walker or a wheelchair. But they said, tough. We're not going to give it to him. So some friends showed up with crutches, and I went out of the courthouse on crutches. But the state didn't want to give me anything, not even the time of day. They wouldn't even give me my medicine. They wouldn't give me anything I had in there that I needed for medical purposes. It was, no, you don't get it.
Welcome to the world of the controllers.
Yep.
You know, I hope that you write a book about this.
Well, I'm looking at doing a movie. I've already met with a couple of Hollywood producers.
Oh, that would be great.
What happened to me in that hospital and all the other patients that I witnessed being abused, all of it's going to be in that movie.
That's great, because this stuff needs to stop. You know, I mean, you know, we worry more about our enemies than we do about our citizens. I mean, you know, don't even get me started on this, man.
I'll tell you what, a dog has more rights in Utah than a human being.
In the whole country. In the whole country. An animal has more rights than humans. You know, it's just, I hate to get into it. And I guess you saw a lot of abuse, like you said, in the hospital. Well, what hospital were you in?
The Utah State Hospital, they claimed, but I was in the forensic building, which is actually, according to the law, under the control of the prison system.
The state prison system?
Yeah. And they don't pay the people to be prison guards in a mental ward for maximum security. They're hiring minimum wage employees. And they're not licensed, they're not insured, they're not bonded, they're not trained right. They just turn these kids loose and say, here, do your job. And some of them aren't kids. I mean, these are some pretty husky guys that are cage wrestlers and boxers and everything else. These guys enjoy being evil.
Oh, and so that's where they had you, with the criminally insane.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
By law,
yeah, I guess you did.
Be a danger to yourself or other people if you're in there. And I kept saying, how am I a danger? And they said, if we let you out, you can sue us.
Yeah, you're danger. Oh, I see. You're danger to them because you can sue them. Oh boy. Yep. And I hope you've got the law working on this for you somewhere.
So right now, just to file the lawsuits alone, just the paperwork and the filing fees alone, I need $150,000. Just for filing fees. I mean, that's how many people are involved in what happened to me.
Well, that's the way our system is set up. You know, it's set up where the man on the bottom, there's nothing he can do. You know, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm flabbergasted because you know, I've heard of this. I've been involved in watching the government and whatnot for 35 years, and I've heard of this stuff, and I've heard it secondhand a lot of times. But this is really the first time I've heard this stuff firsthand from a guy who hasn't even been out, what, 2 months?
Well, I've been out 9 weeks, but yeah, close.
Yeah. And I guess it was just a hell every day just to get through that. How did you maintain? What did you do to keep yourself from going over the deep end?
Well, I kept thinking of different ways that I could get the technology out to mankind, and I figured if I could walk out that door, the first thing I wanted to do was coordinate a big press release where I could donate the plans to mankind so that those greedy, evil people wouldn't want to come after me to try to steal the patent anymore because it wouldn't mean anything to them.
Good move.
Give it away.
And
now,
as Paul says, you guys, anybody that wants it can get the plans, can download them from his site. And you know, if you got a little bit, then you can donate a little bit. If you don't, then you need the plans more than anybody else anyway. But he's got a way to donate there. The guy, he lost everything, and they even drilled his teeth out as sort of punishment. So you guys can help him out. What's that site again, Paul?
It's geet.nl.
Okay. I appreciate it, you guys. Help him out like you can. I heard you talking on another show, and you had mentioned something about using it for maybe not this system, but the whole technology for medical purposes, like X-rays, or how would that work?
Well, I was talking with George Norway on that on Coast to Coast the other night, and I had mentioned that we have made 175 discoveries, which now go into metallurgy. They go into the medical fields to replace X-rays. The frequency, the radio frequency that we emit seems to have a healthy type reaction, and it will make an X-ray. We can't explain how it works or why it works yet. We don't have the equipment to do it. I need mass spectrometers. I need all kinds of equipment to be able to finish the testing. But we did get X-rays from the unit where you could see soft and hard tissue. You can see the bones or just the skin. It would be like a combination of an MRI and a CAT scan, but there's no harmful radiation and there's no danger to the person using it that we know of. We need to get more research in these fields. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. The isolation of the different fields, we can tap off AC and DC at the same time. Now, that means the exhaust pipe on a 1-horsepower engine can actually put out more usable electricity than a 1,000-horsepower engine can, hooked to a generator.
Just from the exhaust pipe?
Yes. It's just we don't know how to tap it all, how to build it. What do we build around it? We don't know. That's one of the reasons I'm here at this last conference, is we have people here building different types of equipment and coils and things.
Right. This is just blowing me away. So if you had the equipment, then you could go further.
Correct.
Wow.
Because the atmosphere is only about 8%.
No, it's about 20 there.
Okay.
19.8, I think.
But it was still putting out more oxygen than it was taking in. Interesting. So he didn't have anything to measure the actual output, the mechanical output.
No.
Okay.
But the computer on most new cars, when it reads too much oxygen, says, "Do not work. You're shut down. Your transmission won't engage. The lights won't work."
Okay.
Everything shuts down, saying that there's something wrong.
I have a friend who runs a dyno, and he hooks it up to the drive shaft or the output shaft of the engine directly. And then he uses that to run a water pump and actually measures the resistance and the amount of water moved. So it's a real, honest-to-goodness horsepower dyno output.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've done this before with doctors and scientists from all over the world, and they've all said it works, but it shouldn't.
Yeah.
But at this particular shop, it was one of the state-of-the-art race car dynos, and the guy said you can't run the engine. There isn't enough power to move that truck out of this shop. The man backed up, hooked up to his water, and drove off.
Yeah. Well, I live in the vicinity of Cummins diesel plant. I shouldn't say immediate vicinity. I live in the same state. It's 4 counties away. But their dynos actually run the city water system. So they're very prone to real output power. So that's how most of us around here were taught that you do a dyno, is you move water or you move something and measure how much you move and how much pressure you have, et cetera.
I would agree.
So getting back to the how it works part, and as I was telling you just before the show, I got onto the Tesla Tech site and saw their diagram. It was the first one I'd seen. And I was immediately struck that this is a magnetohydrodynamic effect, but running in the inverse. Would you like to go into that and tell us what it does?
Well, we are creating, when the engine runs, 7 different electromagnetic fields simultaneously. So as it's running, all of these different frequencies that are occurring, creating all these different fields, are creating AC, DC, Gauss field. It's pulling electrons from 60 feet away. All of these things are replicas of planet Earth. And the center rod that we talked about, the reactor rod, replicates a human body. When you pull it out, it has an aura around it. It's about an inch, inch and a half wide on each side. Beautiful blue cobalt.
Wow.
It has an energy field.
Okay, that's fascinating.
Well, so far I'm up to 175 discoveries that we've made based on GEET.
Okay.
Wow.
So
that's unreal.
I was looking at this diagram, as I mentioned, in Tesla Tech, and I noticed that you have some components in there that are all available in parts stores or hardware stores or some combination of the two.
Well, if you want to buy pieces and parts of pipes and put them together, you can. In the next 45 days on our site in Europe, you'll be able to actually download and say, I want to buy that part pre-manufactured, ship it to me, and we're going to be able to start shipping components worldwide.
So my question, I guess, talking about the parts and stuff, have you found other people, some of your acolytes or however you want to say it, who have done further experimentation? You know, like what do you make?
Right now, I've got about, I would have to guess, probably 100,000 people worldwide that have built the units and sent me back information on what they've discovered and how it ties back to what we've already discovered. So it's giving us more and more discoveries. Because we just offered these plans for the big engines this last week, we've already had 1.7 or 1.8 million hits. So the numbers of discoveries are going to grow now. Phenomenal.
Okay. Well, I can guess what some people are going to try. They're going to try different types of magnetized materials or combinations or alloys for the center rod. They're going to try to replace the copper washer with copper beryllium and different alloys. And at some point, it's going to hit that 100 or plus % efficiency.
Oh, we've already passed that, but we're not showing that publicly.
Okay. So that's where I was going with it. I do believe it's possible to get more energy out of those tools than what conventional science says is available in them. You regular.
Oh, that was done years ago. We had a laboratory call us up one day. They had already tested a Coleman furnace that they had UL approved, and they said it was 94.6 or 96.4% efficient. The problem they had was they got a 300% efficiency increase when they put a geat on it.
There you go.
The biggest problem was, how do we explain getting 300% more BTUs out of a cubic foot of natural gas than there is in it to begin with?
Yep. Well, it activates it somehow. It activates the hydrogen or the hydrocarbons or however, whatever.
The plasma field that we create, which is self-created, magnifies energy.
Third state of matter.
It's the fourth state of matter, yes.
Okay, so we have basically an amount of, I'll say, fuel going into this thing, and you had more oxygen coming out than what is drawn in through a conventional carbon, what is available in the intake atmosphere.
Correct, and 4 times more horsepower or 3 times more horsepower than has ever been detected before.
Okay, so then we, I guess my question there is, the output, the exhaust, will consist of oxygen, and it will consist probably of very little carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, I'm guessing.
We have had tests where the carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide is 0.
I can believe that.
The hydrocarbon is 0.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big thing. That's a huge thing. So if you are taking in, I saw one YouTube where a guy poured Pepsi in the fuel tank and ran the engine off Pepsi or Mountain Dew or any sugary water type stuff.
I was just going to say today for Fox News it was Mountain Dew.
Okay. And so you got a whole bunch of carbon in the form of sugar in that and some carbonated water. So you have carbon dioxide in it. I would be very interested, you had carbon dioxide as the fuel. I'd be very interested in seeing the exhaust components from that run, because if it converts that carbon dioxide to oxygen and water coming out, why wouldn't that be on every internal combustion engine on this planet?
If you can get past that politics, I'd love to hear how. But in the meantime, if you have anyone, because I lost everything I owned was lost while I was imprisoned falsely, and I need all that equipment again. So if anybody out there has got extra analyzers or anything that'll help, get them to me. I need them right now. We'll put it on YouTube. We'll show every one of the tests we do.
That would be wonderful, because there are a million questions I'd have along that line, just that line.
Give your email again, will you?
It's paul@geet.nl.
That's GEET. Yeah,
right.
I'm sorry, Rick. I just want him to give that often, because we want our listeners to help him any way they can. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing great. I'm tired right now. I'm at a show. I've been on my feet 14 hours a day, but it was well worth it.
I'm glad for you, man. I know you're tired, but it's going to pay off in the end. I've been, and Rick also. We've been spending our whole weekend going through stuff about you and what you've done on the internet, and it just blows me away that we're not hearing this on Ted Koppel or something. You know, I mean, it's crazy, man. So, yeah, does this? And I want to get into it right away. First, I want you to give us some of your background, how you got into this, your whole background. Tell us about you, the man, and the inventor. I know you've been inventing things 30 years or so.
I've invented all my life. If I don't like the way something is done, and I think it can be done better or faster, I just do it. And when people tell me you can't do it, I ignore them and I just keep trying until I get it done. I invented a 25 caliber log splitter. I've invented instant paint. I've got, pick the field, I have inventions in it. But on this, I built 350 failures. But really, it's 350 ways not to build it.
Right.
We gave the plans away on the internet last week, and for small engines and large engines, if you want to build one for your car, your truck, your tractor, whatever, go on the website. You can have it for free. We were selling the plans for $250. Now we're just saying, here, we want to get this out before the government puts another glitch in the cog.
Right, and like I say, I've been looking at your stuff all day, or stuff about you, and you're a hero, man. You're out there doing what a lot of people need to do. You know, there's been a lot of people. Victor Schongberger years ago with his water power. Is this technology based on anything that he did, or is it completely different? And can you just explain to us how the system works?
It's different, but along the same lines. We've not only had him, we've had hundreds of inventors who've come up with the great efficient carburetors like Pogue and Fish and Ogle. One after another, they've disappeared or they died. Well, here it is. I'm alive. The plans are out for free. Build one. It works.
Wow, that's just crazy. And so how are you know, you've got to get some income for all this you've been in, you know, that's happened to you and whatnot over this thing. What are you going to do to get income if you're giving the plans away?
Well, if you go to my site, which is geet.nl, there's a button there that says PayPal for donations. If all you can afford is $5 or $10, make a donation. If you can't afford it, just download the plans. You can always go back later after you built the thing.
You got that right. Tell everybody what happened. I mean, tell your whole story. Start from the first about what happened with your concern with the government or with the special interest groups, shall I say.
Well, there were a lot of people that wanted to have the technology, but they didn't want it out to the public, and they offered large sums of money to bury it and hide it, and I said no. My employees got mad. They did everything they could to try to steal it. They couldn't. So they went to the Attorney General and said, hey, my boss is a crook. If you'll arrest him and give me the patent, I can make it work. And they finally said, well, the guy's not giving up his patent, and obviously it must work if all these people say it works, including you. So we have no way to hold him. Unless, wait a minute, you know what? There's a law in Utah that says if you don't get along with your attorney, you're not mentally competent. So we can arrest him, put him in a nut house, and say he's not competent. So I was declared incompetent.
Wow. And that just goes to show you. And when did that happen?
That happened in 2005.
And you stayed in until?
May 15th of this year. I walked out with no teeth, on crutches, with a broken ankle and a messed up right foot. They did a bad surgery. It needs to be fixed. So right now,
oh my God,
I need a little medical attention, but you know what? That's not important. Let's get this out to mankind.
Well, you're doing the right thing, because from everything I've read, this is really something that's explain. Why don't you explain in layman's terms just exactly what we're talking about here?
Well, I found a way of vaporizing fuel. So by the time it goes through the vaporizer and a special tube that you build into the exhaust pipe that can be built for about $20 with parts from a hardware store, then you deliver that new vapor, which is a dry vapor, up to the engine intake, deliver it into the engine, and now you have a fuel that's 95% cleaner than a regular fuel and gives you double to triple the mileage. That's all.
Wow, yeah, that's all, but it's quite a you know, from what I've seen on the internet, it's quite an invention. I'll tell you the truth. Have you got this patented?
Oh yes, it is patented, and I'm going for a modification of the patent here within the next month or two.
Okay, so now if you're giving the plans away, but you'll also build them for people. Is that right?
I only am giving the plans away to people that are individuals that want to build it for their own use. I'm not letting GM, Ford, Chrysler, or Obama have them. That's commercial use. I'm not allowing any of that.
Oh, good. That's great. Yeah, that's you're a patron, buddy. Let's see.
Man.
I hear, I was reading or I saw on the internet somewhere that you were getting like a Ford Pinto 88 miles per gallon and a GEO 120 miles per gallon. Is this legal to put this on a car? And can I, is it real expensive, or what's the whole story about the whole conversion there?
Well, we've been teaching people for years how to do it. People in America that do have it running are not talking about it, or they're just saying, well, it didn't work for me. They're just holding back. But if you look at the European sites, where there are hundreds and hundreds of people coming forward now saying, yeah, I got it on my Fiat, I got it on my Subaru, I got it on this, I got it on that. It all works. There's no question about it. It's, okay, this guy didn't get double the mileage. Gee, he only got a 50% improvement. And in the city of Batay, where they put it on diesel engines, they're only getting an 82% reduction in pollution. Well,
the poor guys.
It works perfect on everything. Oh, wait a minute.
Wow.
Those people didn't come to school to learn how to do it. They're doing it off their free plans.
So you've got a school where you teach people.
I have 4 more weeks that I'm teaching it. That's it in the United States. I'm shutting my doors. We have August, September, October, November. 1 week each month, $1,500. You come in, you spend a week, you learn how to put it on everything you want to put it on for the rest of your life. If it uses fuel, we teach it. But after that 4 weeks, it'll all be videotaped. I won't need to do another class. It can all be put up on the Internet. So there's only 4 more weeks in the U.S. Then our schools open in Australia and Europe.
And how can they get in touch with you about that?
They go to my, just email me at paul@geet.nl, Nancy Leo. And the NL stands for Netherlands, which is where our first big school's opening.
Are you originally from the Netherlands, or are you moving over there?
No.
What's the story with that?
I was 110% American until I got beat up enough by these people that I just want to close my doors in America, go to a foreign country and manufacture it and distribute it, and let it come back to America when it can. But there are hundreds of people that have been murdered by this great government and the people in it that don't want technology out there.
Oh yeah, yes sir. That's why I say I'm really proud to be able to talk to you, because you're one of those few, that made it through the system to this point anyway. And I'm hoping that by putting you on the air with a lot of shows and all of this type of stuff to get your story out there, so enough people are watching you that they can't mess with you anymore, and you can get done with